Hey vinyl community, it's Mitch. Um, Back after a long break, making another video. I apologize for the time between videos, just been kind of hectic with summer being here. I've been working a lot more than usual. There's been a lot of weekend weddings and a bunch of other stuff going on. So I haven't had the time to really sit down, get a video filmed, and upload it. But I really appreciate everybody's patience and support. I've been trying to stay active, watching everybody's videos and commenting and corresponding with everybody. There's been a lot of people who've shouted my channel out. I really appreciate that and all the kind words. It's been a lot of fun making new music friends within the VC, and so like I said, I just apologize for the length between videos. I've got a few video ideas up my sleeve. It's just kind of hard to film here lately, especially with the layout of my apartment. It's kind of hard to find some time where everything is quiet and I'm able to sit down and make a video without getting disturbed. In fact, I just tried to film this and forgot to put on Do Not Disturb on my phone, and somebody called in the middle of me filming it and thus cut off the video. So this is take two, which I hardly ever do. So that'll be interesting. Usually kind of just prefer to go off the cuff. What I have for you guys today is a bunch of new Frank Zappa or Zappa related stuff that I was able to pick up mostly I think 2 weeks ago now, and then I went back on Monday to the same store and kind of picked up some stuff I left behind and kind of checked what they had left. I've kind of been slowly trying to pull back on the amount of purchases that I've been doing. So for the last probably 6 or 7 weeks, I've been, in my opinion, doing pretty good on not buying too much vinyl. And then I made the unfortunate mistake slash maybe a happy accident, depending on how you're framing it, of checking my favorite record store's Facebook page here in town, and I noticed that they had a large Zappa collection come in, and I of course that tripped my vinyl collector lustometer all the way into the red, and I just had to go down there. Tommy Burton, what's going on, Tommy? He recently made a video at my request of his Zappa collection, and he made an observation that I can definitely relate to about Frank Zappa stuff showing up in record stores. It tends to show up in waves. It's either a lot of it there at once or nothing there at all. I think that does come from guys who listen to Frank tend to hold on to their records and not really sell them until they're either ready to let all of them go, or maybe some unfortunate circumstance comes up and they got to sell. Maybe they pass away and their family gets rid of it. Whatever it is. Fortunately, this guy that dropped this collection off was still alive. He was just ready to let go of his records. So he took really good care of the stuff that he had. He had some really cool stuff that I've never seen before. So when I was in the record store, I was kind of like a kid in a candy store, just going through, grabbing all the stuff I didn't have and that I wanted. There was a lot of stuff in the rarity section because he had a lot of bootlegs and box sets that don't come up too often. And then I had to do the classic sit down, look at everything I had in my hands, and put stuff back. Otherwise, I probably would have had to take out a bank loan. I mean, this guy had a huge collection. It was all minty. And so I had to put a lot of it back. But the good thing is, I've noticed, at least in my area, people tend to leave stuff alone that's in the rarity section. When I go to the store that I caught this Frank collection at, or a couple of the other stores in the area, a lot of the stuff that's either up on the wall or in the rarities bin, depending on the layout of the store, is the same from week to week to week. So hopefully, as I continue to slow down, picking stuff up. I still might be able to get in there and grab one or two things out of the rarities bin every once in a while. Those are obviously going to be more expensive purchases, but there's some really cool stuff left. I actually just went down on Monday and picked up a few more pieces that I left behind, and a lot of it was still left, so that's encouraging. Hopefully it doesn't go too fast. There's a couple more bootlegs that I would really like. Anyway, like I said, I appreciate everybody's patience and support, and enough of me rambling on. Let's just dive into the records. First off, we've got a sealed copy of a promotional 45 RPM single for Dweezil with My Mother is a Space Cadet, and it's backed with Crunchy Water. Sorry for the glare there, guys. Like I said, it's still sealed in the shrink. This is a really, really, really young Dweezil. This is, I think, if I remember correctly, and maybe somebody out there correct me if I'm wrong, but this is a few years before his debut album, which is Having a Bad Day. I've never seen this before. I honestly didn't realize it was sealed until I started preparing for this video. Super pumped on that. I don't know if I'm going to open it or not. I'm usually, as you'll see later on in this video, the kind of guy that doesn't care if it's sealed. I'm going to listen to it, but this is kind of a cool piece to have sealed, so I'm a little torn on that. Next up, Frank Zappa's Orchestral Favorites. My understanding is this is kind of leftovers from the Leather project that Frank had planned, which was a 3 LP set that Warner Brothers basically told him was impossible for them to put out. So this is two sides of instrumental music. I've seen this around several times in the wild. I just haven't picked it up because it's never, one, been this nice, and two, it's taken me a long time to get into Frank's instrumental music, especially in this period. This is from 79. I like the London Symphony recordings. I like Jazz from Hell, but some of these really complex early instrument, well, not early for Frank, but kind of middle of the road as far as his career wise, middle period I should say, pieces took me a while to kind of warm up to. So like I said, this one's fairly common to see around, but I finally got around to picking it up. This one is also from that same project, I believe, Leather. This is Studio Tan. This was from the year before, 1978. Side 1 is Gregory Peccary. Side 2's got Take You to the Beach and revised music for guitar and low budget orchestra. So this whole LP is just 3 tracks, all instrumental. It's got that little delete cutout, but other than that, it's really, really nice shape. It's on the Discreet label. Next is a promotional only 12-inch for Joe's Garage. So basically, this fairly generic sleeve is a promo 12-inch that just has the cuts from Joe's Garage that are clean enough to be played on the radio. I'd never seen this before. I have a Clean Cuts promotional 12 from Chic Your Booty, which is a little bit later, but I think it's pretty ironic that Frank, as a person not caring too much about what gets played on the radio, sent out these hey, you can play these, you don't have to worry about my language promotional 12s. It was really clean. It was really cool to have. Watermelon and Easter Haze on here. What T-shirt Nights on here as well, which I guess maybe doesn't have a whole lot of crude language, but it's definitely a crude subject matter, so that's pretty fun. We've got Frank Zappa Meets the Mothers of Prevention. This one's still in the shrink. That is the infamous Tipper Gore inspired warning label. Leave it there long enough. Maybe if you want to read it, you can pause it. Really clean copy, still in the shrink. I believe, yeah, it's got the original Barking Pumpkins insert. It's on that pinkish purple Barking Pumpkins label. Let's see if this says who mastered it. A lot of these albums I've been haven't had the chance to really check out on the turntable yet, but Frank had a pretty good habit of picking pretty solid mastering engineers. This one doesn't say on the back, even though it literally says almost everything else about the record. No, actually, nope, there it is. It's That Artisan by Greg Fulgenti, which I'm unfamiliar with Greg, but there's a lot of Bernie Grunman mastered stuff here. He's also fairly well known for using Bob Ludwig, so it'll be interesting to kind of see if any of these are the double RL and the dead wax, but I honestly just haven't had time to really study. Next up is Zappa and Beefheart with The Mothers. This is, of course, Bongo Fury. This jacket is probably the roughest in the collection, but overall I just don't care because I've been looking for this album for so long. The vinyl is really clean, so it plays really great. This was recorded in May of '75 in Austin, Texas. It's got some really fantastic stuff on here. Beefheart kind of helps Frank and his band sing, so there's a lot of cool vocals on here. If I had to give some favorite tracks, it would be Carolina Hardcore Ecstasy, Advanced Romance, and Muffin Man. This one is, I believe, on the yellow Discreet label. Next up is another promotional 12. This one is from Man in Utopia on Barking Pumpkin. It's just got 4 tracks from the Man from Utopia on here. So that's the front cover in black and white, generic back. If anybody knows what record store chain used these date stickers, which I'm assuming they come from a record store chain, let me know down in the comments. I can't decide if I want to leave them off or use David Michael's trick of heating it up with a hairdryer to try to take it off. We have The Mothers of Invention, The Weasels Rip My Flesh. This one is, I believe, from 1970. I think this is a later pressing, just because of the brown reprise label there. But it's pretty early, if I remember right. This album's probably most well known for My Guitar Wants to Kill Your Mama, which is one of my favorite Frank tracks of all time. I also like Did You Get Any On Ya? I had to double check this because you guys can see it's really clean, and I was almost sure it was a reissue when I picked it up, but you can kind of tell, I'm not on camera, but the opening here of the sleeve, just you can't fake that age right there, that sometimes it gets a little discoloration. So again, really pumped to find it this clean. I've been looking for this one for quite a while, but I always see it really, really thrashed, which is a common theme when you look for Frank albums. They're either really expensive or really poor quality. I was lucky to get all of these in really good quality at not so expensive prices. I'm not going to say they were cheap. This is one of my favorite finds from the collection. Sorry for the glare, this one's still in the shrink. This is Mothers at Fillmore East in 1971. The reason I'm so pumped about this is because this is the cleanest copy of this record I've ever seen. Still in the shrink, so the jacket's perfect. It's on that brown reprise. This is, and Tommy mentioned this in his Zappa collection video that he just put out. Whenever you see this album, in fact, I think I can within reach. Whenever you see this album, it almost always has ringware. People tend to write on it because it looks like it's already been written on. So this is a fairly clean copy. It was one of the cleaner ones I'd ever seen. That's why I held on to it. It's got a little bit of a seam split, but again, when you put it right next to this one, I mean, this one's so much wider and cleaner. It just kind of blew me away. So with all that being said, I really love Willie the Pimp on here. It's just a great version. The version of Peaches and Regalia that's on here is fantastic. I want to say this had the mastering engineer on the back, but I think I'm wrong on that. So with me sharing that, that other copy that I just showed of this album is going to be available, and I'd rather somebody in the VC give it a good home than me take it in for a trade. So if you guys are interested in that, just shoot me a message and we'll work something out. Next up, like I said earlier in the video, I think I didn't bother taking the albums that were in the kind of rarities sealed up sleeves out just because it was a hassle. But this is The Mothers of Invention, Absolutely Free, from 1967. Of course, it says there on the sticky note. This is a black label, black Verve label, which means it's a little bit later in the year 1967, but still really early pressing. You have to be a real big stickler to not consider that this one an original pressing. The gatefold's really beautiful on this. Super pumped to have it. They had a original pressing blue Verve label that was mono. It was a little beat up on the jacket and probably 25 to 30% more expensive than this, so I just opted for the stereo copy. I might pick up the mono copy eventually. Like I said, that rarities bin is kind of untouched right now, but for right now, this is a fantastic copy. I'm super pumped to have it. Next up, You Can't Do That on Stage Anymore sampler. This is a gatefold from, I believe this one, let me look here. This is from 88. This in the gatefold has all the notes about where it was recorded, how it was recorded, and then how Frank kind of spliced the solos in, and which band members are on there because the collection's not chronological. There's the back. Favorite songs on here are Dickie's Such an Asshole. Of course, You Have to Love Cosmic Debris, and then this version of Montana is really cool, and of course The Torture Never Stops is one of my favorite Zappa tracks of all time. Another one that's still in the rarity sleeve, so try not to glare too bad. This is Standing Room Only, Toxic Shock Part 2. This was recorded live at the Ritz in November of 81. It's got Steve Vai, Ray White, Tommy Mars, Ed Mann, Bobby Martin, Chad Wackerman, and Scott Thunes is the band. Then in the back, it being a bootleg, it came with like 4 pages of typewriter kind of Xeroxed information about the bootleg series and supposedly the guy who recorded it. I had to pick this up because all of the songs on here are from You Are What You Is, which is one of my favorite Frank albums, and I really wanted to hear Mud Club, and it's a bummer that it's split, but there's a really long version of Dumb All Over on here that I really like, and it's cool to have that original information here stuck in the back. Next up is True Glove. This is a 4-disc maxi single that kind of takes stuff from Them or Us and Thingfish, and then has a previously unreleased song called Wonton On. This one says sealed, and it's got kind of that Gem Records distributed sticker on the bag. but I have a hard time believing that it was still sealed because this sticker is just junk. Like, it's almost 30 years old, and it'd be pretty hard pressed to tell me that the guy who had this hadn't opened it before, especially considering some of the yellowing on the edges. Anyway, all that being said, I really like In France. He's So Gay is one of my favorite tracks from Thingfish, and I'd never seen this before, so went ahead and scooped it up. Wasn't planning on keeping it sealed, so even though I paid a sealed price for it, came home and listened to it right away. So yeah, unlike the Dweezil 45, this one is open for sure now. Another one in the rarities sleeve. This one is Any Way the Wind Blows, Frank in Paris. It was recorded at a Paris concert in '79. I believe this is an Italian bootleg, if I did my research right. This has stuff on it from Joe's Garage, from Chic Your Booty, One Size Fits All. Man, just a really good cross section of Frank from that period. So I picked it up because, again, it's got Watermelon on Easter Hay. It's got City of Tiny Lights, Dancing Fool, which I love. Chic Your Booty. Chic Your Booty was my introduction to Frank, and then it's got a lot of stuff, like I said, from Joe's Garage on here. And then the last track is Titties and Beer, which is a classic Frank live track that he kind of changes every time he does it. The one thing that's frustrating about this one is when I took it out and was checking it out when I was cataloging stuff, it being a bootleg, both albums on both sides just have plain white labels. So trying to figure out where you're at in the track listing is impossible. Next up, Frank Zappa guitar. This is I believe, a sampler from the Shut Up and Play Your Guitar box set. A little bit of ring wear here in the gatefold, but other than that, super clean seams, everything like that. This is from '88 on Barking Pumpkins. This double album, like I said, just a really good collection of Frank's guitar solos from '79 to about '84. So if you like Frank's playing, I would definitely recommend picking this up. I've never seen the Shut Up and Play Your Guitar box set in the wild. I was really jealous when Tommy showed it the other day in his video, but I was really pumped to find this because this is about the closest thing that I'm gonna be able to find, at least for now. This one was mastered by Bernie Grunman, so everything on here sounds really great. Coming down to the end here, guys. Appreciate you sticking with me. This one is another one. It's in the rarity sleeve still, so excuse the glare. This is Pa's nose fell off at breakfast. It fell right into Ma's coffee and displaced it. So this is, I'll actually open this one for you guys. This is a bootleg, like I said. Here's the gatefold. And it's track listing. See if I can see when it was recorded. It's got to be early '80s because it's got some stuff on here from Chic Your Booty. But again, same kind of Mitch's favorites on the bootleg theme. It's got Trying to Grow a Chin, Broken Hearts for Assholes, Punky's Whips, which is awesome that they put a picture of Punky in there. Yeah, never seen this. I had to do a lot of research on it when I was at the record store because I was unaware of what I was looking at. But like I said, this guy kept really good care of his stuff, and he had some really kind of not so known pieces, at least for me, by Frank. This one is Trick or Treat. It's some unreleased stuff from the Mothers between 64 and 69. It is on the fake Bizarre label, so this is a bootleg. The catalog number for this one is Poop 1348, if that tells you anything. So that's really funny. So the A side on this one, if I could get it back in, is some alternative versions. It's got stuff like Dog Breath and My Guitar Wants to Kill Your Mama, Why Don't You Do Me Right? And then the B side is recording from the Royal Festival Hall, London in '68. It's got 4 tracks, most notably Uncle Meat, One Note at a Time. So this was really cool. Again, this one, I mean, almost looks brand new. So being a 40-year-old bootleg, I was really pumped to find this in such good condition. Then last but not least, I believe this is like the third piece of that leftovers from the Leather project. This is Grand Wazoo. The gatefold there. There's the back. And then it kind of gatefolded from the other side. Yeah, so this one is actually on the real Blue Bizarre label. And this is a 6-track instrumental album. And again, just really kind of classic Frank complexity on the compositions. It is an interesting listen, though. I am pretty unfamiliar with the Grand Wazoo overall. It's kind of from the period of Frank's catalog that my dad didn't listen to too much, and so I didn't grow up with it. But it's been interesting kind of diving into this and the Studio Tan and the orchestral favorites. Kind of all seem to go together a little bit, at least in style. So anyway, guys, appreciate you sticking with me through such a long video. Like I said, I do now have a copy of Mothers at the Fillmore that's up for grabs if anybody wants to send me a message about it. Hopefully I'll be able to make a couple more videos here pretty quick. Not doing a 2 or 3 week gap between videos, hopefully. But it is summer. Like I said, we've got something going on almost every weekend, so it's just been hard to sit down and even listen to records, let alone make a YouTube video about them. But anyway, guys, I appreciate you taking the time to watch. If you've got any ideas for any videos, if you're interested in seeing the entirety of my Frank collection, or you want to talk about any of these albums in detail, just feel free to leave a comment down below. I look forward to corresponding with you guys.